The 1954 overthrow of Guatemala's government stands as one of history's most striking examples of corporate influence over U.S. foreign policy. While no official war was declared and no headlines announced military action, a democratically elected government was toppled in just 72 hours through a carefully orchestrated covert operation. At the center of this shadow war stood an unlikely protagonist, the United Fruit Company. In the early 1950s, Guatemala appeared to be on a path toward progressive reform under President Jacobo Arbenz. His platform centered on a bold land redistribution program aimed at addressing the nation's stark inequality. The plan specifically targeted unused agricultural lands, much of which belonged to the United Fruit Company, an American corporation that had accumulated vast holdings in Guatemala over previous decades. This company, known locally as El Pulpo, the octopus, for its far-reaching influence, viewed Arbenz's reforms as an existential threat to their interests. The connection between United Fruit and the highest levels of U.S. government power proved crucial to what followed. Two brothers held particularly influential positions in Washington. Allen Dulles served as director of the Central Intelligence Agency, while John Foster Dulles was Secretary of State. Both had significant ties to United Fruit through their previous work with the law firm Sullivan and Cromwell, which represented the company. This intersection of corporate and government interests would prove devastating for Guatemala's young democracy. The CIA, under Allen Dulles' direction, launched Operation PBSUCCESS, a comprehensive covert action program designed to remove Arbenz from power. The operation represented a new kind of warfare, one that prioritized psychological manipulation and deniability over traditional military force. The CIA's strategy included multiple components. They established fake radio stations, broadcasting anti-government propaganda, planted fabricated news stories in local media, and created the impression of an impending invasion force. The psychological warfare campaign was reinforced by a small force of CIA-trained mercenaries who provided just enough military pressure to make the manufactured threats seem credible. The operation's architects understood that actual military conquest wasn't necessary. They only needed to create sufficient fear and instability to trigger Arbenz's downfall. This strategy proved remarkably effective as the Guatemalan government collapsed after just 3 days of pressure. The aftermath of this non-war proved catastrophic for Guatemala. The power vacuum was filled by a series of military regimes, leading to a brutal civil war that would last for decades. Conservative estimates suggest tens of thousands of Guatemalans lost their lives in the ensuing conflict, while United Fruit Company's operations continued uninterrupted. The company's profits were secured at the cost of Guatemala's democratic future. The Guatemala coup established a troubling precedent in U.S. foreign policy, demonstrating how corporate interests could effectively hijack national security apparatus for private gain. The operation's success in removing Arbenz without an official declaration of war created a template for future covert actions, where deniability and psychological warfare could achieve political objectives without traditional military engagement. The long-term implications of Operation PBSUCCESS extend far beyond Guatemala's borders. The incident raises disturbing questions about corporate influence over foreign policy and the accountability of intelligence agencies. If one company could successfully manipulate the most powerful intelligence agency in the world to remove a democratically elected leader, how many similar operations might have occurred without public knowledge? The ease with which corporate interests aligned with national security operations suggests a dangerous precedent that may have been repeated numerous times in other contexts. This episode illustrates how history can be shaped not just by what is officially declared or acknowledged, but by what remains unspoken and unofficial. The absence of a formal declaration of war didn't make the consequences any less real for the Guatemalan people, who endured decades of civil conflict following Arbenz's overthrow. This war that wasn't fundamentally altered the trajectory of an entire nation while barely registering in American public consciousness, demonstrating how undeclared wars can have profound and lasting consequences, even when they don't make headlines or appear in history books.